Hello, and welcome to Scott's Odyssey. I often get asked that if I am originally a Philadelphian, why don't I do a deep dive into ODDySEEy histories of Philly? Well, there are multiple layers in that question that you may not understand even if I explain it. But even if I were to remove the factors of the current fentanyl epidemic, the idiotic racial violence and crime against anyone with pale skin, the rampant street muggings and robberies, and the perpetual shootings in a city that won't permit legal carry of a firearm, there are still some truly odd things going on that I'll be happy to talk about in this video. See you in a minute. Welcome back. If you've watched my videos before, thank you for your patronage, and if you're new to Scott's Odyssey, welcome aboard. So yeah, Philadelphia. Although it is part of Pennsylvania, it kind of falls outside of the scope of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. What I mean by that is most people who are born and raised in the city don't even realize that they are part of Pennsylvania. And they believe that they are Pennsylvania. So when they leave the city to go anywhere else in the Commonwealth, or even to another state, they see no difference between those locations. All they know is that it's not Philly. Now, I know there's people who will argue in the comments that this is not the case, but in all actuality, it really is. And for those who disagree, no, Wildwood, New Jersey is not part of Philadelphia. And if those people decide to leave their comment anyway, thanks for watching the video. Be aware, being a Philadelphian by birth and well into my 30s, I absolutely love the city I am from, and I so miss the food and many, many aspects that are no longer there, but just fleeting memories. But to be honest, I absolutely detest everything about Philly as well. And for those of you whom have gotten out of the city, I know you can relate to what I'm saying. I've been looking to do a visit to knock out a good number of superb stories and locations that would cause your head to spin. But the past 4 years within the city have made it far too dangerous to take that kind of a risk. So those locations and stories will have to wait a bit longer, but we will get to them eventually. Which brings us to the earlier statement of, what if we removed all the current bad things about Philly? What odd things would come out of the city that are still viably interesting? Well, you know how I often tell you about history and who we once were? I usually follow that statement with, and who we still are today. And that is what we will focus on for this video. Without further ado, here are 11 things that have made odd history within the city of Philadelphia in just the past 10 years alone. At the end of 2017, the old First Reformed United Church of Christ, located at 4th and Ray Streets, decided to have a nativity scene outside the church, as many Christian churches around the world do for Christmas. But old First Reformed United Church of Christ decided to step it up a notch and bring a 1,100-pound heifer into the mix. Now, you need to know that this is not a shadow city, nor a rural city, nor a city with space between houses like Pittsburgh or Harrisburg. Philadelphia is a series of 2-, 3-, and 4-story tall row homes stacked so tight that there aren't even alleys between the buildings. So, bringing an animal larger than a medium-sized dog anywhere in the city is just a crazy concept and would draw crowds from everywhere. Heck, bringing a heifer into the city is similar to bringing some rare lion or zebra or hippo into the city and would most certainly draw a lot of attention. Stormy, the name of the cow, was brought in to brighten up and attract visitors to the nativity scene. That is, until she escaped. Within her first night at the nativity scene, although allegedly secure, Stormy decided to see the sights to be seen within the city of brotherly love and spread her manure. wherever she wandered. The first sighting reported to police was at 2:25 a.m. on Thursday, December 14th, where someone was slowed entering the I-95 ramp southbound at Callow Hill Street. Yep, the cow was entering the I-95 in Philly. Animal Care and Control were contacted to bring a horse trailer and pick up Stormy in order to take her back to her nativity scene. The pickup and delivery went successfully, and Stormy was back with Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. That is until 6:30 a.m. when she decided to check out the parking lot at 4th and Market Streets. It's believed that Stormy understood how the holding pen gate worked and was actually letting herself out of the pen in order to go and wander about. The program assistant at the church immediately decided that Stormy was a potentially bad idea and was causing far too much of a ruckus, so had her sent over to the W.B. Sowell High School of Agricultural Sciences all the way out in Roxborough, where they could better manage the cow. Unlike Stormy, that not-so-rambunctious 2 sheep and 2 donkeys were permitted to stay until the end of the month. Now, I know this probably sounded like a really odd event in Philly, but it honestly wasn't. Just the year before, on November 22nd of 2016, a state game official had to be called in who went on to shoot and dispatch a bull that they called Bull Ramble. He had escaped from the Halal Slaughterhouse in Kensington on North Hancock Street. Then he wandered onto I-95 and then through the interchange onto I-676 or the Vine Street Expressway. The 2,000-pound bull exited the expressway and went into hiding amongst some bushes at 8th and Vine, only to end up with 3 slugs from a 12 gauge to drop him. I can't even begin to imagine the traffic issues caused by these 2 incidents. If you've never driven in Philadelphia, consider yourself blessed and lucky. Aside from the driving and traffic jams, you never really drive in Philly unless you need to be somewhere specifically and at a specific time. So any form of delay is an exceptional amount of stress and doesn't help when everyone else also has that stress in an already stressed out driving situation. In keeping with bovines, there was a man who in 2014 decided that he would drive around the Mayfair neighborhood of Philadelphia in his silver or possibly black sedan and offered to women he would see the ability to take a piece of Swiss cheese he had and allow them to put the cheese on his already exposed male parts. Yeah, keeping it classy, especially in Mayfair. So yes, there was a man in his 40s or early 50s driving around, half naked, with Swiss cheese and asking women to dress his proverbial short sub with it. It took a young woman from the neighborhood of Bridesburg who remembered seeing a man on OkCupid who exhibited this sexual cheese fetishes to alert the police to who he might be. According to an alleged conversation that was had with the man, I started to compare girls to cheese due to their milky complexions. Girls are soft, smooth feeling, and tend to like dairy products. So cheese is what I started to use as a replacement for having sex with girls. Believe it or not, police still have not caught the, as he's become known, Swiss cheese pervert. One thing about Philadelphia during the summer is it can get really, really hot. I mean, sweltering hot. And with little to no plants or parks, the tar of the rooftops and the blackness of the asphalt streets just capture that heat and reflect it all around you. So as you would expect, there are often times where you would use your hose or a fire hydrant, your fire plug, and go out to get wet and cool off. Well, during a block party, which is a day or two taken aside where a local city block will come together as a small community and celebrate each other with games, drinking, and fun, shutting the block off from all others in the neighborhood and traffic, a group decided to rent a dumpster for the party. Now, unlike most people, they didn't do it in order to use it as a garbage receptacle. No, they used it for the most apparent reason anyone at a block party during the hot summer would use a dumpster. They made it a miniature pool for the residents. Yep, they lined it with tarps and filled it with water so the people at the block party could take a dip and cool off. The information says it was at the Cedar Street block party, but that means it could have been anywhere in Port Richmond or Old Richmond neighborhoods. The gentleman who put this together stated that 50 people took a dip in the pool, and this was only done because they weren't allowed to bring back the Beer Olympics contest or the giant slip and slide. So with the heat, they went with a pool made from a dumpster. City licensing and inspection dropped by to shut it down, demanding permits. But as the man who organized the event pointed out, the device fell beneath the requirements for a permit. The hardest part was finding a place that would rent the dumpster to them in the first place. When they found it, it only cost them $250 and only took an hour and 22 minutes to fill up with about 3,000 gallons of water from a local fire plug. Now, if you didn't already know, I went to an all-boys Catholic high school in Northeast Philadelphia, and we used to make a joke about our school swimming pool. No, the school did not have a swimming pool. But on 2 different occasions over 2 years, the street out front of the school, the 1800 block of Torresdale Avenue, a 4-lane main artery in the city, had a 2-story deep, 30-foot long and 40-foot wide collapse due to a water main break, filling the hole with water. But this is not as uncommon as you would think within the city. Entire blocks get swallowed up by these types of collapses on a more than regular basis. But what happened in West Philadelphia in 2019 was much more interesting. After a collapse at 43rd Street and Baltimore Avenue, a crowd decided to gather around their great hole. Why, you might ask? Well, in order to make ritual offerings to the great sinkhole. The people brought flowers, marbles, feathers, candy, all things that would allow the sinkhole to know that it is loved by the neighborhood. It even gets better as time went on. There was a sinkhole pizza party and a full ceremony for the worship of the sinkhole. As described by the city workers, we knew of a small depression. What we didn't know is that there was a sewage spirit that had carved a 20 by 20 foot chasm beneath the pavement 12 feet deep. If you think these types of occurrences are uncommon, realize that the Philadelphia Streets Department receives upward of 10,300 pothole complaints every 3 months, with about 4 of them turning into these big pits of doom. On a brighter note, the repair time for these types of holes, on average, is only 6 days. Being that we were just talking about West Philadelphia, just a short jump away, we have the Philadelphia Zoo. Apparently, the zoo has its own issues, like in 2018 when 4 peacocks escaped onto I-76, the Schuylkill Expressway. You know, the road that everybody calls the Shorekill because it makes traffic on I-95 look safe. Anyway, the peacocks escaped and decided that around 8:30 p.m. it would be a good time to go and take a stroll on the Schuylkill Expressway. Once notified, state police arrived, shutting down traffic in 2 lanes, causing a 15-mile backup. I don't even think Philadelphia is 15 miles long top to bottom. Anyway, they got the peacocks off the highway, but were unable to catch them, at which point made them no longer the state police officer's problem. 2 of the birds unfortunately ended up dead. The other 2 peacocks were found at the equestrian center about 3 miles away in the other end of Fairmount Park. Good thing those birds didn't make it to Center City or they'd have gotten eaten by the roaming coyote. Yes, coyote have been found and captured within Philadelphia. The first was a week earlier in Mayfair and was said to be released into Pennypack Park, just a couple of miles north. Not that it is the type of park where you would release a coyote, but the belief was that they would move their way into Montgomery County. But like I've said before, Philadelphians don't seem to realize there's a much bigger state around them and they think they are the center of the universe. So yeah, a coyote was found in Mayfair and then it was released in the Pennypack Park. Just to have one a week later show up wandering around Center City, probably feasting on all the rats and pigeons that plague the streets at night. Instead of releasing this coyote in the Pennypack Park or taking it out of the city, the Game Commission warden made the determination that the animal was to be destroyed because it appeared to have habituated to humans, and this was the best course of action in the interest of public safety. Again, It's not normal to see animals wandering around within the city limits unless you're at the zoo or apparently on I-95 or I-76. And I don't mean the people. I do mean the people, but I don't mean the people. Again, we find ourselves out in West Philly in 2015 with a problem where a circus lost its zebras, who decided to just go for a walk down in the center city. The first zebra was caught rather immediately, but it took over 3 hours to find and catch the second zebra that apparently decided it wanted to be part of a police chase. At least we know that these animals are coming from places like a zoo, a farm, wandering in from the deep outskirts of the suburbs, and even from an occasional circus. Unlike the problem that was run into in 2016, where a woman was walking down by the art museum on Labor Day and heard some rustling in the trees, only to look up and get clobbered in the head with a 6-pound, 16-inch long whiskered fish. Yep, just walking along, minding her own business, and bam! She got knocked by a catfish falling from the sunny and beautiful sky. She received lacerations on her face that started to swell, probably due to the sharp spines catfish have on their fins, but did not receive any other serious injury. Well, except a story of a 6-pound catfish that fell from the sky over 50 feet and clocked her in the head. She did develop a fever and contacted her doctor, where they thought it was a prank call when she said it was a fish story, but nothing came of it and she ended up recovering with no issues. It is believed that the catfish was accidentally dropped by a predatory bird that lives along the Schuylkill River, such as a hawk, an osprey, or a sea eagle. Speaking of fish, in 2017 a man took his fishing pole to the sewage release holes along the Schuylkill near Locust Street. Within a short time, he had hooked something, and after 15 minutes of fighting it, pulled out a 30-pound carp. Apparently, the man was trying to catch a world record carp out of the Schuylkill River. The current world record is 57 pounds. Although it was not the biggest carp pulled out of the Schuylkill, it is more important to know where this man usually fishes. Typically, he fishes deep within the storm sewage tunnels within and under the city. Which brings us to 2018 and one of the Bassmaster Elite Series fishing competition winners by the name of Iaconelli. He claims he has found weirder and larger fish in the storm sewers there more than anywhere else in the other cities. The bait he uses is hot dogs and soft pretzels. This idea was so big that there was even to be a TV show about him on National Geographic Wild Channel regarding the secrets of fishing in storm sewage tunnels within Philadelphia. I wonder if he ever seen any gators down in there. Anyway, that concludes ODDySEEy facts regarding Philadelphia and reasons to have a basic fear of nature outside of that which is brought to you through humanity. So next time you're in Philly, bring a camera. Keep your head on a swivel, and remember to look up so you don't get hit by a fish. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, give the video a like and subscribe for more stories of who we once were and still are today. Leave comments down below if you've heard stories like this one and wish for me to get you the full history behind it. Help support a creator by jumping out to Patreon, PayPal, or the new one, linked down below, Buy Me a Coffee. It might not seem like much, but every little bit helps. As always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.